Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
What is up, nerds, and welcome back to the Carbonite Convos podcast. This is a long overdue episode 40. We have a really good one for you today. It's like I said, it's long overdue. Alec and I have had a lot of personal things come up. I'm in the middle of a move. Right now, I'm at a hotel for the week, but getting into a new apartment next weekend. We're both starting new jobs, so it's been pretty hectic. But we are back here live on TikTok to talk about Marvel and Star Wars and to finish off this MCU Star Wars villains bracket that we started what seems like forever ago. But thank you guys for joining us. I'm your host, Funko Stud. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and right here on TikTok. But right now I'm broadcasting from Star Wars MCU Facts. So for those of you that are watching here on TikTok, feel free to follow me on my collector channel at Funko Stud. And like always, I'm joined by Wall Crawler Pops himself, Alec Porterfield. How we doing, bro?
Dude, I'm great. Guys on TikTok, thanks for joining in. We greatly appreciate it. You too, we're so glad to be back. Just like Nick said, we've had some things going on. So we're super pumped to finally finish this bracket that we started a few weeks back. But, as always, before we get into it, don't forget about the Carbonite Convos Big Three. That's like, comment, and subscribe. TikTok, if you want to do the same thing, feel free to do that as well. Go follow us on YouTube, all that good stuff. And I'm just ready to jump into this thing, man. It's going to be a good conversation.
Definitely. And you can check out all of our social media and podcast platforms at the link in both of our bios just to stay up to date. But tonight we got Thanos versus Darth Vader.
For those of you who haven't seen, this is a third part of the series. The first part, we did a bracket of the best MCU villains. And then we did the bracket of the best Star Wars villains. And it was inevitable that Thanos would come out on top in the Marvel world. And Darth Vader himself came in, obviously, in the Star Wars universe. So we're going to try to come up with an answer here on who is the best villain in existence, which it's going to be hard to do. It's going to be fun to do, but hopefully we'll get there.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't even know where to start.
I don't either. We're just going to kind of let it flow and see what happens.
We had Thanos take down some crazy good competitors. Loki, Caecilius, Ultra. How is Caecilius second on the list that I just said?
I know.
Loki, Ultron, Killmonger. Pretty much we pitted 8 MCU villains against each other. Thanos came out on top, and then we got the man himself, Darth Vader, the most iconic villain of all time, took down characters like General Grievous, Darth Maul, Palpatine. Yeah. What was the final one there? It was
Vader versus Palpatine.
Vader and Palpatine.
Which honestly, I felt like that could have gone either way, just in the criteria that we were talking about.
And that's the thing.
It was very close. It was very close.
The criteria has changed week by week. The first time we argued against each other for certain MCU characters, and then for Star Wars, we really just more debated than argued against each other. We kind of came to a mutual agreement of who would move on. And that's kind of going to be the theme of tonight, is pointing out each villain's main, the main aspects of what makes them the best villain, the best villain in their respected
universe.
Franchise.
Fandom.
And we're just going to go from there. So who are we talking about first? Are we going to do is this going to be a 1v1? Like, who would win? That is how we have treated this in the past. When it came down to 1v1, we did who would beat each other. So are we taking Darth Vader or Thanos? What do you think?
Well, okay, to start it off,
how would that fight
guys in the chat, if you have anything to throw in on this conversation, please feel free to do that. It'll make it better. We want to know your opinion, and we want to see if you think we're wrong, but absolutely, let's just dive in. 1v1 in a fight, who is winning? If, fist, lightsabers, infinity stones, are we including all that, or what?
Well, yes, Vader, yes, you have to include the lightsaber.
There's no way you obviously have to include his ability to use the Force. That's exactly without a question. But the real question is, does Thanos have the Infinity Gauntlet?
I don't know. What do you think?
In this scenario, I think yes, because if Vader's going to have a weapon, okay, I believe Thanos should have a weapon too, because obviously the whole Infinity Saga was him building up to collecting all the Infinity Stones. So why not include that in Thanos at his highest possible power? Because we're debating Vader
Yeah.
at his highest possible power too, when he's
Yeah.
leading the galactic empire to chaos around the universe.
So I feel like we have to decide this first. Is whoever wins 1v1, is that who we're going with, the best villain of all time? Or
I don't think so.
I don't think
there's more aspects. I think if we have to categorize it, there's the physical fighting between the two. Who's gonna win? Who is more recognizable, and who had a bigger impact in their respected fandom? And I'd say the third one is probably more along the lines of to the fans, like who like represents evil more, who represents a villainous character overall more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So let's start at the trail end of that. Okay. Let's start on the fact of, if you were shown a picture of either one, who is more recognizable?
Oh, that's not even a question. Well, to
Not
me,
even
that's
I don't think it's a
not
question
even a
either,
question.
because
I think
in the
Vader.
grand scheme of things, the MCU is very new. It's extremely new.
Yeah, 10 years.
It's new compared to Darth Vader's first appearance almost 50 years ago. Getting up there. I think that obviously there's been enough time for the world to see who Darth Vader is, for people who saw it in theaters to pass it on to their kid, like, oh, this is Darth Vader, this is my childhood, this is who I was scared to see walk through the fog in A New Hope, and the red lightsaber ignite, versus this conversation might be different in another 10 years when, oh my God, that's Thanos. Like,
but the thing is Thanos, arguably his role in the MCU is done. I'm not saying they could never bring him back, but his role might be done. Vader.
That's a great point.
We could see Vader again,
especially.
Bad Batch.
I know. I was going to say, like, right now, Vader's future is huge, because I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm 99.9% sure you're going to agree with me. I think as fans, we've had enough of Thanos.
Oh yeah,
We've had enough of Thanos. From a Funko Pop collector standpoint, we've had plenty of Thanos. From when we talk about, what's the girl's name in Eternals? That's Thanos' sister, right?
No, his cousin.
It's his cousin. His cousin. I think, yes. As soon as that was brought up, I'm like, oh my God, are they going to try to bring Thanos back or whatever? And I was kind of like, I don't love that. However, we're talking about the Kenobi series coming. We're talking about Bad Batch. We're talking about all these possibilities. Like, I personally can't get enough Vader.
Exactly.
I want to see him as much as physical possible, whether you call it fan service or not.
Oh man,
I'm excited.
Bringing Vader back fan service, man.
No.
Get it. Come on.
I'm excited to see more Vader. I'm not excited to see more Thanos.
I think any Star Wars fan is excited to see more Vader too, right. Because remember when they said Hayden Christensen, when they announced he was coming back as Darth Vader, not only, it was the fandom freaked out because Hayden Christensen was playing him, which, he deserves to play him after this long. But it's just, that's also the return of Darth Vader. It's the return of literally the most iconic villain of all time, and one of the first villains, that really struck a personal chord with people.
Especially from a sci-fi-esque genre, like, Vader has set up, not only is he still one of the most iconic and recognizable villains in the world, but like, if you think about it, his character kind of paved the way for the future of villains in general. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, I guarantee a lot of writers and fans, whether it's fan fiction, whether it's real movies, whether it's whatever, have used references of acts that Darth Vader has done and kind of built that around the character. Well,
think of how many I Am Your Father references there have been in cinema and television throughout the past 50 years. You see it all the time. You see it in memes. You see it all over social media. Like, that's one of the most iconic scenes in movie lines of all time. So, Thanos has, I am inevitable. Okay, great.
Which is really good.
It is.
Don't take anything away from that. That was phenomenal. But it does not even compare to no, I am your father, or
Nothing ever will
anything.
either, you know?
Right.
Nothing ever will.
Here's the other thing I really want to get out there. Thanos was doing what he wanted to do. Okay.
Yeah.
He wanted to seek out the Infinity Stones. He wanted to wipe out half of all existence. He obviously thought he was doing the right thing. We've said that a million times, but he was doing that in his own power. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Vader was not doing that. Okay. And by that, like, obviously Palpatine was leading the way on everything that was happening, which I think goes to show how much better of a villain Vader is, because he was basically working for somebody and was more maniacal, more evil, and more hated as a hated in a good way, as a character, because it was not under his own power. And obviously, like, when he came back to the light, whatever was like the ultimate redemption, that was under his power. But the whole time he's doing someone else's bidding.
Let me ask you this: do you think that Thanos and Vader's endings? Do you think that has to play into this conversation as well? Because what kind of villain goes back to the light side? You know what I mean?
Right.
Obviously, us fans, we want to see that. You would never, in no scenario. Well, there's 14 million outcomes of the coming conflict, but I don't think in any one of those we see Thanos coming to the light. And I think that does say something for Thanos.
It does, but I want to talk about the other aspect of that, of how they died.
Yeah.
Canonically, Vader never really lost. Okay. And by that, I mean, yes, he might have lost a battle, or like the Ahsoka fight or something. Like, there was no real winner or loser or anything like that. Vader died as a winner in a fight that obviously, like, he came back to light. Like, at the end, when he took his last breath, he won his last battle, versus Thanos lost twice.
His legs were no.
Well, he got his job done, but then he got beheaded.
But at that point, he didn't lose. At that point, he was complete. He was smiling to a grateful universe.
Right. That's a good point. But, however, he ended up getting defeated.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think that takes a huge chunk of him away. Obviously, it was the Avengers' second chance that it worked, but
doesn't matter.
I think that goes to show just how quality of heroes are in the MCU, but it takes a huge chunk away from Thanos as a character.
Yeah, no, I didn't think of that. I still do think it says something that I don't know. It's hard because you think Vader wasn't doing things for the right reason. You know what I mean?
Right.
He was not
one
he
bit.
was doing things to rule. And that makes him, ex-villain. That makes him villain, number one.
100%.
And he comes back to the light. So we know that light was always there.
Mm-hmm.
Thanos, on the flip side, as ruthless and gruesome as it was, he was still doing it because it's what he thought was right. So in Thanos's eyes, was he a villain? No, he was the savior. Vader knew he was a villain.
Right.
Vader knew that. He knew he was. Once you go down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. Vader knew that. Thanos thought he was. Well, he was not a god, but
okay.
Thanos,
let me ask you this. Sorry, finish your thought, and then I have a question.
No, that's pretty much it. Thanos knew he was. Thanos thought he was doing good. He thought he was saving the universe. We know.
Okay, so
a hero doesn't do it like that.
When either villain signed on the dotted line to become a villain, okay, and stay with me. Vader did it because he thought he was going to learn the secret to eternal life and how to prevent people from dying, essentially. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think people. I think
Padme,
the people he cares about.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. In general, the ability to do that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you think Thanos really knew what he was getting into when he started upon his journey to eliminate half of all life?
Oh yeah. Well, I
Do you think he understood the impact of what would happen? Like we debate it like as like humans, be like, hey, what about like the people driving cars and what about like the people in airplanes and stuff like that?
yeah.
I don't think he knew exactly what all it would entail and the destruction and that it would bring across the galaxy when he signed up for that versus Vader being a Jedi knew the powers and the obviously the acts behind the dark side and how bad they were and how evil they could be. He knew about that. He was aware of it, and his journey was a very long road down the dark path.
Well,
You get what
no,
I'm going
I
at?
100%. The reason I think why Thanos knew is, remember in the scene with Gamora in Infinity War, he was sitting there talking. He said, he was explaining to Gamora, what he was doing. She already knew, but I can't remember exactly what he said. But he said what was it? If life is left unchecked, it's something to that. If life is left unchecked, it's doomed to fail. He did not say that, but something to that effect. And Gamora says, screams at him, "You don't know that." And then Thanos says, "I'm the only one who knows that, or at least I'm the only one with the will to act on it." So I think he knew. I think Thanos knew the entire time that maybe he was either he was the only person that knew what it took to balance the universe, or he knew that he was the only one that could be that evil, could do those horrific things for the good of the universe. You know what I mean?
That's a great point because he's the first and only to ever, well, that we know of, the first and only to ever really try to do that.
We saw like
20
Infinity
freaking
Stones
in
in
a
a
desk
cabinet.
drawer. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, we use them as paperweights. But no, but seriously, like Thanos was the first and only, to our knowledge, person or being that's ever attempted to do that. Vader is not the first Sith by a
No.
long shot. There's obviously a millennia before that. So I think it does make Thanos acts a lot more powerful because he's the first and only.
But think of it this way: Vader and kind of Palpatine put together, they're the only ones to succeed. Like the Sith have never, well, to my knowledge, they were never really in charge of the universe. Like in a point, deep Star Wars lore, yes, the Sith were once ruled, X amount of the galaxy.
Right.
But, Vader and Palpatine, what they did together, they created an empire across the entire galaxy. And, no, they weren't the first ones to try, but they were the first ones to, succeed for a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, that it is a really hard debate.
That's also a good point because if you want to call it, it's a bad term to use it, but Thanos's rule over the universe, the time where everybody was wiped out, blipped 5 years.
No, I'm sorry, snapped. No, not blipped.
Snapped, blips. Yeah. The time everyone was snapped was only 5 years versus Vader and Palpatine's rule was what, like 30-ish?
Yeah. The difference is, though, Thanos only wiped out half of the Thanos only wiped out half of the heroes. Palpatine's plan,
they got all of them except like 5.
Except a few. They killed. They knew what they were doing, and that goes to show. Thanos.
And not only did he.
Maybe if you wanted to balance the universe and stay, on that winning side, maybe eliminate half the universe and kill all the Avengers while you're at it, because it's your gauntlet. You could have.
Well, even the Jedi and the heroes that survived Order 66, look how many of them turned away from the Jedi way and refused to take part in anything. Like, example, let's look at Kanan at the very beginning of Rebels, when he did not want to fight for the rebellion. Like the what Order 66, the impact that had on him made him, even though he did not die and he still remained alive and was still technically a Jedi, he refused to use that to fight for anybody.
I think that's because he knew he would die. Like he knew he would be hunted down.
That's exactly the point I'm making.
But
exactly. Ben was in hiding. Yes, he was watching over Luke, but he was also in hiding. Yoda was in hiding.
Let's use Kanan though as a quick example. Right when he knew that there was a formidable crew, the rebellion. It took some convincing, but he joined. I just don't think he liked the organization, the politics of it.
He was only like one of like 3 people to do it though.
Yes, but I'm not talking more. I'm kind of going a little more broad than just Jedi right now.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to help people in need just with his crew. He didn't want to deal with the politics and all that of the rebellion. Under Mon Mothma and Bail Organa and stuff like that. He didn't want to deal with that aspect of it. So that I think that's kind of why he shied away as well. But once he realized it was a formidable, what's the word I'm looking for? Alliance, a formidable alliance,
formidable cause.
Yeah, he joined. And the thing is, when you look at the Avengers, the ones that are left were the ones you started with. So clearly they can already do some damage. We have the Hulk, we have Thor, Iron Man, Cap, we have the main heroes and some.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. Okay. Who do you think, whose cause, whose power was harder to bring down? And I say that because it took Thanos. It took Thanos to come down from his power from a handful of superheroes. And in this setting, I'm going to call
Thanos won.
He did, but eventually things came back. But I'm going to call Jedi superheroes here, and just for this for this instance, okay? It took 5 or 6 superheroes having to figure out how to go back in time and plan a time heist to bring him down, versus it took one superhero, the Jedi, and being Luke, to blow a rocket into a tiny little hole on the Death Star to basically bring him down from power.
Yeah, but think of how much it took to get to that. Rogue One. Think of how much deaths.
A lot of people died.
And the difference between Vader and Thanos is, specifically going off of what you were talking about, is Thanos was one specific event. It was one thing that they had to undo. Mm-hmm. So if they figure that out, they reverse his win. He wasn't ruling the universe. He didn't have just an army and garrisons across the entire universe, enforcing his will. He did. For those of you, if you're not watching, I snapped. He snapped, and it was done. Like his duty was done. That's the difference. Is that I think that's a little. Yes, they did have to go back in time. They did have to figure it out. They needed a lot of heroes to do this and to keep him dead, because obviously he came back. But Vader and Palpatine, I feel like, were a little more difficult to take down because they literally were running an empire. It wasn't just a singular event that they had to go back and undo or figure out how to overcome. It was the way of life.
Let's think about this. Thanos, what he did was the very most.
Hold up. 101 Froggy says, "Say hi if this isn't a loop, please." So 101 Froggy, what is up?
What up?
All right, what were you saying?
So think about it like this. What Thanos did was at the very top of what he could have possibly done.
Yeah.
Okay? He did it. He reached his goal. He wiped out half the universe. Vader and Palpatine did not reach their ultimate goal. Okay. Yes,
they did a different goal.
It is different. It is very much different.
What do you think their ultimate goal was? What was their ultimate?
To completely rule everything.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about what they could have done, because in an instant, look at what happened to Alderaan. In an instant, if the Death Star would not have been destroyed, I think it would have been worse than what Thanos did over time.
Probably, yeah.
Because you could destroy planets in an instant.
Yeah.
There's no coming back from that.
No, I know. There's a difference between ruling the entire galaxy forever. look at the history, any movie, real life movies, there will never be one except, like religion, God and all that. There will never be, America will never rule the cosmos. China will never rule the cosmos. So alien planet Blekdar and Sector Zemgod, they're not going to rule the cosmos.
Great example.
Exactly, right? So Vader and Palpatine, it's almost what they were trying to do. It's unachievable. It is unachievable because there's always going to be good in the universe.
There will always be someone resisting you.
Yeah, but so you got to give them that they're, like Kylo said, like the dude in the Saturday Night Live skit.
With the undercover boss,
he's trying to do something he's trying to do something that's never been done before. Rule the universe. So they're trying to do something. And he's sitting there. He's like, exactly. Thank you. So they're trying to do something that is pretty much unachievable, or maybe not. Jyn Erso said it herself. You give something with this much power, something this evil, this much power, you submit the galaxy to a lifetime of servitude, or whatever she said. So maybe they could have, but Thanos, not trying to crap on him, but you collect these 6 stones, you snap, your job's over. You don't have to do anything after that. You can retire. Vader and Palpatine can't retire, and it's like, we're talking about this. Which one makes which a better villain?
I don't know, because Thanos did accomplish what he was trying to do, but just like you said, Vader was trying to do something that damn near impossible. And the thing is, they were able to do it for a while.
Yeah. But when you think of it, not that long, like 20 years.
In the grand scheme of things, yeah.
Yeah, 20 years. It's not too long.
In the time span of the galaxy, that's nothing.
Exactly.
Here's something for you. Okay, so let's kind of move on to, in a fight, who's winning. So who's coming out on top in a fight. Let's break down their aspects. Okay, so there's the physical strength. We're gonna say the force, and I'll get to that in a sec. And let's just focus on those two right now. So the first one, physical strength.
This is hard because the force, I think the force goes into Vader's physical strength because he's a human. I don't know,
because then let's combine the two. Let's compare Thanos and the Infinity Stones, or let's just specifically say the Power Stone. Okay.
Hold up. Take a step back. See, this is where it's hard, because if you're putting up Darth Vader not using the Force and not using a lightsaber against Thanos with no Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos will win easily.
Right.
Easily, because what is he? He's a human. He can't do anything. He doesn't. It's not like Thanos, his suit is Iron Man. Yeah.
Right.
But then you add the Force. Let's say you add the Force and still put him up against Thanos with no Infinity Gauntlet. That's a section in its own. So the only thing you can add to Vader after that is, okay, now Thanos can use the Infinity Stones and Vader has a saber.
Okay, let's just say in this instance, Vader has his the ability to use the Force and its lightsaber, and Thanos has the Infinity Gauntlet, and his sword double blade thing is made of Beskar.
Yo, okay, wait, hold up. What if it was Vader, no Force powers, and his lightsaber, and then Thanos, no gauntlet, and his...
Well, let's do both.
What do you think?
So that's tough. I think Vader does come out on top in that instant.
Really?
His blade is lightsaber proof, no? In this instance,
Thanos's?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a metal. Let's say it's a metal. If it goes through Cap's shield, it's... Yeah, let's say it.
Okay, just for this fight.
It's the equivalent of Beskar. If you look at
how Anakin Skywalker and Vader are some of the best duelists to ever exist. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you look at how Thanos fights, it's overbearingly strong. It just bang, it's just swinging like.
Yes, but it's
However,
also strategic. It's also tactical because think of when he's fighting Hulk. He allows him to make mistakes and then he pounces.
well, does Vader not do this? Does Vader not do the same
No,
thing?
I'm not saying he doesn't. I was just saying, it's Thanos's one draw isn't just always overbearingly physical power. He also fights very smart, as we saw in Infinity War.
True, because we only really see Thanos fight with that blade against Cap, like the Cap Thor, Iron Man scene.
Mm-hmm.
That's really about it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We have seen Vader's ability to fight with a lightsaber against the best of anybody. Double-bladed, dual-sided sabers.
Yeah, but you also have to remember Vader / Anakin has lost a couple lightsaber battles. He lost his last one with Luke. He lost it.
Yeah, he did.
He lost it. He lost to Obi-Wan. He lost. The Emperor overpowered him. Well, that was more force many times. Thanos didn't lose. He took down Thor. He took down Thor, Iron Man, and Cap at the same time with just having his sword.
True. And,
That's incredible.
And Thor had Mjolnir and Stormbreaker.
Dude,
that's a great point. And Cap had a shield, and Iron Man obviously had a suit. So
Iron Man had dude, that's a hard. Thanos doesn't lose. He doesn't.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry.
He didn't lose until he did lose.
Exactly, and that loss, made him lose forever. And believe me,
honestly, dude, with that debate, I think Thanos gets a point right there.
Yeah, and I like I love Marvel, but Star Wars is always my number one, and I'm trying to fight for Vader. I really am. But the more I think of it, it's like if you take away the Infinity Stones from Thanos and you take away the Force from Vader, and you put them up against each other, I think that Thanos would take it.
You might be right. Okay, but now let's look at the other side of the argument. No saber and no sword, just let's say the force
and the gauntlet.
Not the entire gauntlet, because I think that's an unfair fight. So we're taking away the lightsaber and the sword. What do you want to call it? The sword?
Yeah.
Whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
Let's say what Infinity Stone do you think is the most representative of the Force? The Power Stone?
Well, all right. So Force. I'd say yeah.
Probably, right?
Because
what does he use to pull down the moon?
Power.
That's the Power
Stone.
Stone.
Okay, no. He uses the Force. He uses the Power Stone to break the moon apart, and then uses the Space Stone to transport the moon to his location so he could throw it at Iron Man. So I would say the Power Stone, because the most equivalent to the Force, yes, because you think the Space Stone transports stuff.
Well, you want to just say combine the Space Stone and the Power Stone? I think that's probably fair.
Yeah, sure.
Let's just say those two.
Yep.
So essentially, the Marvel equivalent of the Force is the combination of the Space Stone and the Power Stone.
Yeah.
So you take away the weapons, and it's just 1v1. Vader using the Force and Thanos using those two Infinity Stones. Who comes out on top?
Well, let's think of the magnitude of the Force again.
Keep in mind, Vader's one of, if not the most powerful Force user of all time.
How do you compare the Power Stone to the Force?
Vader is one of the most, like I just said, probably the most powerful Force user of all time. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen. There's a video out there on YouTube in the scene in Fallen Order where Cal is fighting Vader and they break the glass open and the water is coming into the room, and he's one-handedly holding back all the water with one hand while still kind of paying attention to Cal and fighting him off. And it's like something ridiculous, like millions of metric tons of force. Versus the other hand, Thanos has something that was literally created by the universe, by the most powerful cosmic event to ever happen that literally created the universe, and these little rocks flew out and scattered across the universe. He has all of those, and in this instance, the Space Stone and the Power Stone. I don't know. I feel like just they describing it, the stones are going to have a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, I mean it's all about how you use it.
It is.
You know?
It's their ability to use it as well. Like we just said, Vader's ability to use the Force is almost unmatched.
Yeah.
You know, versus I think Thanos does make mistakes with the gauntlet.
Yeah. Trying to think of anything Vader can do to see. The thing about it is, Thanos can shoot crap out of the Power Stone. We've seen him do it in his fight with Doctor Strange. And yeah, I think Vader could defend that. But they both have such strong attacks and such strong defenses. So I don't know how I don't know how to compare the two.
Well, if you add any more Infinity Stones, Thanos is taking it 100%, especially if he has the ability to control time.
Yeah, and that's the problem. So on the flip, what if you give Vader see, it's almost unfair. It's like, okay,
it's not fair. As soon as you give Vader his lightsaber, he wins because he has a weapon.
Well, no, I still am
you
not.
Don't think so?
Not, bro. Like the Infinity Stones, their power is unmatched.
Literally
and I
unmatched.
guess the Force is as well, because the Force is the equivalent to the Infinity Stones in Star Wars, I would say, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you can't measure the Force? You can't. You can measure midichlorians, but you can't measure the Force.
You can measure the amount of force that is used to move an object. But you can't measure the Force itself.
The Force, yeah, exactly. Right. So it's power. The Force's power is unmatchable as well, which makes it hard. That's why the Force will never be in Marvel, and the Infinity Stones will never be in Star Wars, because major plot holes are coming there.
Dave, we're looking at you, man. Make it happen.
Filoni.
I'm just
Dave
kidding,
and Kevin. Can you imagine that duo?
Ooh.
Kevin Feige and Filoni.
You know what? Everyone tag them in this as much as possible. Let's see if we can get a live action Thanos Vader fight.
Filogi. That's funny.
That's terrible.
I know, right? All right. So where are we landing all right. So we did, you had 3 main points. We did the first 2. What was the third one?
So it was who would physically win, who caused more damage throughout the galaxy, and who was more recognizable as a villain. See,
I think any day Vader is more recognizable as a villain.
I agree. So he has that aspect. Who did more damage across the galaxy?
How do you measure it? Because
I think Vader wins, honestly.
You think?
I think Vader wins because what he did was not reversed.
Yeah. True.
Like if what Thanos did was not reversed, he might.
There were things that Thanos did that did not get reversed. How about all the worlds that he plummeted over before he got the Infinity Stones?
True.
He was genocide every other day, it seemed like. I'm sure. He was just going across the universe, demolishing things.
Right.
So it's hard.
Right.
But I don't know. You think of what Thanos did. He was doing it for the good of the people. But then you look at what Vader's doing. They were trying to bring peace and justice to the galaxy.
In a sense.
But like, how can you compare? And there's no way we can have this episode end in a stalemate. Or can we? I don't know. Because you can't. They can't be measured.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if you can come up with a clear winner, because here's the thing. Either way, you're not wrong.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I think
there's so many arguments for both. And I'm comfortable to say that those two are the most powerful and most iconic villains from each respected franchise. There's no question about that.
The reason, let me say this. Thanos has beaten Vader out in a good few categories. We said mostly physical, and it's kind of hard to compare what they've done across their respected universes. But when it comes to our reality, Thanos versus Vader, Vader has it, I think, because he was here first. He was more iconic. Just say this. You can ask many people in the world who played Darth Vader. A lot of people are going to say James Earl Jones.
Mm-hmm.
You ask, hey, who played Thanos? How many people are saying Josh Brolin? Only the fans. Right. Vader is just
like
so
non-Star Wars fans knows who Darth Vader is.
Exactly. I think Vader's just too iconic in our pop culture to not give it to him.
Let me ask you this real quick.
Yeah.
You're in a dark room, pitch black. Are you more scared of a fist coming up and an infinity stone lighting up, or a red lightsaber igniting?
Dude, it's got to be the saber,
100%.
Saber, because if not knowing what an infinity gauntlet is and seeing those, I might think like, hey, awesome glove, dude.
Yeah.
Like, right. Man, where'd you get that?
Right.
If I see Darth in a big purple, and I see Barney holding
Grimace,
but then you see Darth Vader igniting clearly a weapon,
right?
Just his breathing. You just see, the features on his face. You hear the saber, and it just lights up the room. You know you're gonna die.
Like, okay, what do you think was more intimidating? Vader's first appearance, the Rogue One scene, or the fight where Thanos is just sitting waiting for Thor, Iron Man, and Cap?
I don't think they can be compared, because the Thanos scene, he's waiting. That's before the most climactic battle.
I changed my mind. The first scene in Infinity War, when or the ending of Ragnarok, the post credit where you see a ship just show up. And then obviously you skip forward to Infinity War and you just see all the destruction on the ship, and Thor and Loki are all dying.
I'm not sure.
I think Vader still takes
it. Vader, are you saying his first appearance or Rogue One?
The Rogue One. Either
Vader,
one.
You knew what you were about to see. With Thanos, we didn't get to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, but it wasn't Thanos really doing it. He was sending the Black Order to do it a little bit, and he was also just using the stones. Vader's up close and yes, he killed Heimdall, he killed Loki. Vader is up close and personal, slicing these dudes in half, breaking their windpipes, just crushing their necks, summoning their weapons, and beheading them. Yeah, like
no effort.
Yeah, man.
Versus even when actually, because Thanos is not putting a ton of effort in when he's fighting Hulk and stuff.
No, that's more of a physical battle,
waiting for it to happen.
Yeah,
waiting for Hulk to tire himself out.
This is a hard conversation.
It really is, and I really don't think there's a clear and concise winner. Honestly, I'm fine leaving it up to interpretation. I think we both have made phenomenal points for either. Honestly, I'm leaning towards that too.
I just say Vader just because of the history.
With the points that Thanos brought up, honestly, I don't see there being a winner. It's completely up for debate, and it's one of those things that can be argued for forever. Just like which makes it a good conversation. What makes it a good point? What makes it a good question? And what compares the two fan bases, and it just makes them both so phenomenal that they're able to create such a villain that can't necessarily top each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, for sure, man. It's a crazy fandoms we have here. So, I'm cool with leaving it up for interpretation. My personal, if I have to go with one, I think Vader, just because of the history, what he's brought to our world,
right.
I don't know. Because you don't love Thanos. You don't love Thanos. You respect what he's doing. He is a crazy, psychopathic villain, but I love it. So many people love Vader. They absolutely love him. And this was before Anakin. This was before, like, this is before we got introduced to the prequels. People already loved Vader. It's just, I don't know. It can't be compared, really.
No, yeah, I'm fine ending it on that note, man, and just leaving it completely up to everyone's individual interpretation because
Yep.
there's no correct answer. Either way you're right. Either way, there's great points, and either way, they're both phenomenal villains who will have an everlasting effect on the fandom and will definitely set up future stories that are, like Thanos said, inevitable. So I don't know, man. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Darth Vader's the daddy, though. He's his father.
Yeah.
Nope. There's nothing to say
Sure.
to that.
Sure.
Darth Daddy. I know, right?
I don't like that.
Can you imagine Vader's with, "Who's your daddy?" I don't even know. But guys,
like in Yondu's voice or something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, same voice, but like in that kind of tone.
I ain't your father, but I am. I am your pappy or something.
But I am your daddy. I think he said daddy.
I think he did say daddy.
But it wasn't in, the daddy way that
I got you. Okay,
think of now.
We're moving on.
I know,
we're
guys.
on.
We can't thank you enough for hopping in the chat, watching the video, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple, wherever you're listening to us. We can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your day to listen to us nerd out about who's the better villain. Star Wars and Marvel. We love doing this, and we're glad to be back. We took a couple weeks off. It's still going to be a little spotty moving forward because Alec and I we have a lot of stuff going on, but in these next few weeks, we're going to really buckle down, figure out a set schedule, get back to streaming on YouTube, live streaming the episodes. As always, we're doing, well, we missed the first week, but we have a Loki reaction coming to episode 2. Bad Batch episode 8 is this week, so you can expect those reactions from us either the night of or in the morning. So definitely check those out. Don't forget to follow us on everything at Carbonite Convos. And like Alex said, if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget about the big 3: like, comment, subscribe. It helps us more than you guys know. And TikTok specifically, thank you so much for your support. This has been so much fun. We always love going live. So thank you for everybody who hopped in the chat. Alec, you got anything quickly before we head out?
Oh man, same. If I could retweet all that, I absolutely would. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir. So until those 2 reactions in episode 40, we finally made it past episode 40.
Big number.
It's been like 3 weeks.
Big number.
Finally. But until tomorrow, until the reactions and until the next episode, guys, like always, may the Force be with you.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.